Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question that is, to talk about sort of this emptiness or negativity that they feel. Just sort of being sort of disowned or disenfranchised or down after a relationship feeling of defeat with a covert narcissist. When you feel this down, this feeling of defeat, this feeling of disenfranchisement or really disempowerment, which means the absence or the opposite of empowerment. You are not in your right perspective when you are really sort of manipulated by another who is a covert narcissist, or even worse on the spectrum into the antisocial when we start getting into the psychopathic individuals. And oftentimes their exterior betrays a very cold interior. So it's this cold interior, I think, that is part of what sort of gets people needled or feeling that deflated, defeated, or dejected sense. So to feel dejected, I think, is where we get into some very specific emotional states, because I think it's very important that when you come to healing after you've been in a relationship that involves or implicates narcissistic or psychopathic abuse, which is an emotional, like a lack of emotional intelligence, a lack of emotional awareness, even a lack of cognitive or psychological awareness on your part. People find themselves in situations that they don't know how to get up, they don't know how to process, they don't know how to come out of. And so this feeling of being dejected, to make sad or dispirited, to depress. So so to make sad or dispirited. So, that's the unhappy face, dispirited. So without spirit, without your inner self. I mean, you have to get, some identification of emotional states. So, it's just not to feel down and out. It's to feel dejected or sad or dispirited. So we're talking about really specific emotional states that are so disempowering that they can plague people for a long period of time, because they don't have a tool or a way to understand it within themselves and sort of deal with the problem. It's kind of like having a problem in the basement and you don't have the tools. Like, you might have something rattling and you don't realize it's just something that's on the wall that's shaking, and all you need is a nail and a hammer to solidify it and it'll stop rattling. But if you don't know where that rattling is, if you don't know how to get to that place in your gut to do a body scan and sort of ventilate with others, to be able to have someone to get it all out of you, get it all off your chest, really kind of out of your gut. I think oftentimes where a lot of people's instinct or their spirit has been repressed, and and so you're wondering, how do you get out of that dejected or state? So to be dispirited, which is the non-physical, the spirit is the non-physical part of a person, which is the seat of emotions and character of the soul. I mean, that is so cool. Who talks about this? Who talks about this at the dinner table, the lunch table, the bus stop? Who talks about this at school, your job? Maybe you don't even go to church, because I don't even think people go to church very much, especially with the pandemic, or maybe it went out of fashion or out of style. Who knows where that is? But I know that, this is a troubling issue that people need to attend to within themselves. So maybe your family, your workplace didn't reinforce it or encourage it, or your community, but it's something you might want to examine. And this is not a religious lecture, but it's to understand the impact of a relationship and how it impacts or imparts or imprints a sort of negative feeling within you. And understand the cause that creates this effect, and also the why. Like, why did they do this? What are they getting out of it? Why me? Why am I in the middle of this? How do I get out of this very uncomfortable, unpleasant feeling? I can't seem to get out from under it. I can't shake it. So we totally get that here on the Peace and Harmony channel. So thank you for your inquiry. So to be dispirited, so the spirit is the non-physical part of you, which is the seat of emotions and the character of the soul. So let's just talk about, your emotions, which is your energy and motion, your feelings. So if someone can basically sideswipe your emotions, your feelings, and damage them, they have sort of damaged your feeling or that part of you that is that is the invigorating part of your emotions. So, the non-physical. So we're talking about like how you feel, basically. So not to be too cuckoo crazy, but when you are in the presence really of someone who's very egotistical, who has an agenda, they're always trying to keep their agenda going. Even if their agenda is already going, they're always going to give you that little reminder, that little rub, the abrasiveness or the manipulative comment that they have you under their control, which basically puts other people feeling like they are not in control or they are disempowered, and they feel a sense of disapproval or disappointment in them because of the way, the tone that they just communicate. So a covert narcissist, or even further on the spectrum, a psychopath, will sort of give you this non-verbal communication or in a tone or in a lack of communication. Basically, it's not oftentimes what they do, it's what they don't do. And so to really express this sort of disappointment in you, that you are a disappointment, that they disapprove of you. For some reason, even whatever it is, they exude this. They will communicate a sense of disappointment. You are not good enough. You displease me. So people then take this at face value and then think that they're supposed to then take their perspective as the map or compass of their life. And then they kind of swallow it like their compass for a true north. And then they are using this manipulative person, which then they've been sort of fooled or flip-flopped their perspective to feel that their life basically is about pleasing this person or becoming agreeable or agreeing to their perspective. I am, in other words, accepting that you are a disappointment is basically what ends up being processed by the individual who's going through this emotional abuse. So they're displeased with you. So they're not accepting of you, of who you are. There's an egotistical need. And oftentimes they have not delivered in a way that they are expecting of you. So it's really like a double standard. Whoops, I just knocked something over here. We'll pick that up later. Or maybe we'll pick it up now. This is my little feather holder. I think it's a salt holder with a cute little flower. Anyway, where were we? So, when you are in a state of fear because you have disappointed somebody who gives you this intimidation or acts like they are the authority, that they are the superior of your character, that they are captain of your character, that they are the judge of your character, and that you are a disappointment, that your character, yourself, your I am, is a disappointment. They disapprove of your I am. This is how they disenfranchise you. If they can give you those derisive or divisive looks, speak with you a tone of condemnation or consternation or sort of condemning you, being very much heavy-handed, the one-sided statements that you don't have a chance to have an open communication. They make a statement and then shut it down, which is basically a statement of judgment, and then they will shut the door on any communication. There's no eye contact, no presence. They just sort of dish up this disapproval, and they will manipulate others into feeling dejected, sad, or dispirited. This is different than a depression. This is really a sort of a way to discredit you from your glory of who you are, your I am. And that's to negate your positive. Basically, the positive purpose and passion which you possess, which you own. They then sort of take it over as if they own you. In other words, they sort of own you, or your character is theirs to judge, decide, mold, and shape, which couldn't be further from the truth. But that is the authority that they try to give a narcissist, which is always operating out of ego, which is what they can get out of it. It has nothing to do with others. They lack empathy. They do not have an ability to set aside their own needs to understand the needs of another. They just cannot do it. It's all about them, 24/7. I mean, it gets pretty amazing. And people say, well, how could they, how could this be, it's pathological, it's abnormal, it's a pathological sense of self-importance and a lack of empathy, which creates this communication experience. And so if they invalidate you, if they don't, give you that warmth, or if the warmth is false, then you have nothing to go on. You don't have anything to connect with. There is no connection of spirit, of purpose, of emotion, of meaning, of the heart, or anything of that. It's all up here. It's all cerebral. That is very cold. That is very calculated. That feels very unforgiving. That feels very judgmental. And so it is that sort of thought process within them that then causes them to communicate this sense of, another word is reproach. So in other words, to treat someone with reproach, you're just a despicable person. You are horrible. I'm going to just throw you under the bus. You're to be walked over. You're to be, treated with snub, just a snubness, just to walk by you and treat you as if you are unimportant. And so they will then create this imbalance. They do this deliberately. They create this imbalance. And so before we wrap up, the crucial part is that they then feel or communicate that their way of looking at things, their judgment, is the approach that you should take on and not your own. So they get you to disown yourself, your character, because, well, after all, you're a disappointment, so you might as well give up on yourself and appeal to them and perceive things in the erroneous, flawed, pathological way that they want you to. Because if they can get your attention, this is very, very specific to manipulation. If they can get you to distrust your own perception, your own observation, your own truth, if they can get you to disown that, okay, and say it's no good, it's invalid, it's not real. If they can get you to do that, which is what these people do, and say, look what I see. And they say, oh, and then they want you to perceive things according to how they want you to. So they are programming you, which is inorganic to you. So this is where it becomes very dangerous, because then you are giving yourself over to an external locus of control, which is all about serving their needs. So you're basically signing up for a pawndom. You're basically signing up the application to be a pawn, endorse right here. And you don't realize that you're signing off on that agreement. So you have to basically shred it up. No, thank you. I am not a pawn. I do have my own perspective and I own it. And contrary to how you want to, cause me to see things from my perspective, your perspective is valid. So you have to really come back to that. It's such a crucial, really, and it might feel like splitting hairs, but really sometimes they split hairs and they get you to split from yourself and feel dejected, feel sad, feel disempowered, disemboweled, disenfranchised, disrespected, disgusting, unpresentable. You are chopped liver, What are some other terms that you are despicable? You are dirt, and so they'll create a situation where they'll have your normal, natural, respectful treatment, then flip-flopped and boomerang as if it is the opposite. So they take everything good and then basically sling it back against you. It's a very insidious type of manipulation, one that, most people, or maybe all, may not experience in their life. Some people do. Some people get very hurt, abused, scalded, scarred, taken down, disenfranchised, in a slump. They get in a funk. They can't pick themselves up because of this type of manipulation. It is to get people under their thumb, or as if, you are just a pawn. You are replaceable. You're a small potato. You're a small fry. You are, basically, relegated to that of the peasant, the underbowel of society. I mean, that's how they want to treat you. And why? Because it is a manipulative technique to get control and command of, the situation. They want you to give up control so that they can have it. So if they can render you helpless and as if you have no control over your life, if they can convince you of that, then they have just won you over, and you're just basically there like an ox to do their plowing. They can basically just go like, yep, oh boy, look at this. This ox just walked into my life. Look, they can do all this work for me. Let me just saddle you up and let's get going. And then next thing you know, you're docile, walking like a dog with your tail between your legs and your ears down, as if you should be embarrassed for your very existence. This is not correct. This is flawed thinking. This is a reaction. This oftentimes is I would say a defense mechanism reaction to this type of insidious manipulation, where the cut down that is to the gut, the cold, the callous, the calculated. It has nothing to do with reality. It's all, it's already made up in their mind. So it has nothing to do with reality. It has nothing to do with what you are in the present. It's and it's oftentimes completely lying, pathological lie in the process, which means it does not have anything to do with objective reality. What they're lambasting, or what they're trying to accuse you of, you have no guilt of. So if they can make you feel guilty, if they can break you down through this very type of fear, and then you can't own your existence anymore, you can't own your I am in the positive, they then just crush you. They're then, doing this, and they're just like, I'm crushing you, you're my competition. Basically, it's like having a moral enemy, I guess you would call it. So, when you are in the presence of safety, and you're in the presence of your true I am, there is no disappointment. There is no dejection. You are not, finding these moral flaws with yourself. You're not living under this almost like an umbrella or a dark cloud that they sort of try to put around you. Like they try to. I think there's a statement that's talk about putting a lampshade on somebody. There might be something in the Bible to that effect, but they're just sort of trying to put a lampshade on you to sort of dim your light, I think, is the feeling. So I'm trying to help you make the intangible tangible, to understand and put to words, make it palpable. We're person to person, we're heart to heart talking here about helping you put into tangible, applicable, communicative, conversational terms that you can express and maneuver out of this guise of control that they're trying to slap on you. It's just like, no, thank you. Your gear ain't working here. It's just like they're trying to put some sort of screwdriver in to mess you up, and you ain't broken. Their tool ain't fitting in your gears. It's not a fit. It does not fit. So when you understand this, you have to kind of like do a reset and just sort of go like, wow, I do see how they use that as a tool to turn me off, to shut me down, to give me a dead end of my I am. Do you see? I think for a lot of people, they feel like they're in a very dead end when their life couldn't be further from the truth. They're just not seeing it. It's like they literally remove their positive vision from their spirit, their character, their emotions, their I am, their self-esteem. I mean, right now we're in the information age, all this different stuff. It is something that is important for you to be able to talk, through and understand, and then release that limitation, release that darkness that they are trying to sort of put on you, sort of a negative label that you don't own. They cannot own your I am. You own your I am. It's like newsflash. You need to know that you own this. This is a gift. This is like your free will. So they will have you believe, that this is not alive and kicking. You're not a live wire, that you're not in the present, that you're unplugged. You don't have any energy. You don't have any electricity. You don't have any warmth. All this starts to be disabled for, this is part of their manipulation. So you have to call it out within yourself. You don't want to call them out because they will never understand. They will not ever pull back on that. You just have to understand that when you're in the presence of your true and correct I am, you will not be subject to others' disappointment. That's their manipulation. You are not disapproved of. You are approved of. You are approval. You are approved of, not only by others, but you must approve of yourself and your I am. Just getting down to the very teeniest, tiniest seed, like the faith of the mustard seed, I think is like a statement. But you must understand that little teeny tiny seed, as small as it is, you must understand and have that awareness of owning this place within you. They will get you to disown and disenfranchised, like you're nothing but a garbage pit, your soil that can't be grown anything in, or however it is that disappointment or dejected disappointment is. So you have to realize that that's part of an insidious manipulation tactic that these people will use. So it'll deflect, and you will then go back to, trying to be supportive of them, giving up of yourself, sacrificing of yourself. You can recover your sense of I am, and don't worry. It's not that you've wasted all this time. Some people have just, come into this awareness that there's this seat of okayness within, and it's okay to not give into their pressure. The word disappointment is not written on the ceiling. You don't have it in big letters on your wall. Stop thinking that. Because a lot of people then will continue to feed that they are disappointment. So they'll recycle that, and they'll have these sort of recurring feelings, which again, oftentimes are feelings. So you have to get into the body state. So that's why it's so important to do the recovery date. Get your heart rate up a little bit. Get on a bike, go for a bike ride, get on a scooter, get on a skateboard, get on some rollerblades, get into a cool car, or something that gets, a treadmill, or something, a go-kart, go golfing. Get something that gets your heart rate up, that gets you happy. Just do it right now. You don't, stop putting it off. Just jog yourself into motion, jog yourself out of the rut, because oftentimes it's kind of like where a wheel has been spinning in the mud, and it gets really into a groove. So you have to kind of get out of that groove where they have sort of tried to nail down. You are, you're not worth, you are unworthy, and all that has been hammered in is part of that emotional manipulation. That is something for you to say, no, thank you. Your tool of manipulation doesn't fit in my engine anymore. And then you have to make that to be so you can understand and take ownership of that place within you. And know that once you have the faith, and just say, even though, I have been hurt, or even though I have been treated in this disenfranchised way, even though I have felt this, doesn't mean that hope for me is lost. this is, and so because that's their message is like one of being like you're at a dead end, but you're actually right in the beginning of a journey, which is the present moment, which is being in recovering, just saying like, wow, I am liberated. I have free will. I can do a little dance here, and that you are not a disappointment. I mean, you need to shout it out of the top, of your lungs. I am disappointment free. I am enough. I am good enough. I am loving enough. I am lovable. And like all those things that they want you to disown about yourself creates that dissociation and feeling like you can't show up in life. I mean, I know that this is a really deep video, but don't let them foil you. Don't let them it's because they use it's all in their head, so you can't let them get in your head. And because that's part of that change of perspective. Remember, think how I think. They want you to take on their reality before you can take on your own. They won't even allow you to have your own reality. Think about what that really means, and come back to owning your I am. And please share what that means for you. This is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Have a beautiful day. Peace be with you. I am.